did not resonate with what I was doing. So really, the goal today is to make sure that what I'm saying resonates with you guys. So to start it off, for those who haven't seen a big data presentation before, or who don't know what big data is, essentially big data is this huge amount of data that nobody knows what to do with. So this leaves a huge opportunity for entrepreneurs such as yourself to come up with innovative new ways to analyze and come up with new conclusions about this data. So what I'd like to do today is tell you a couple of stories about some interesting initiatives that have leveraged big data, as well as give you a demonstration of how to solve a problem using big data. So one of the problems you might think occurs when tackling a social problem using big data, probably the biggest one, is that each case is unique and you simply can't take a big data approach to it. And really, that is simply not true because, as you will soon see, there are many examples of initiatives that were started using a big data approach that ultimately had positive effects. So the first story I want to tell you is about the Haiti earthquake. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Haiti earthquake that rocked the world when we saw it. It's still something that Haiti is recovering from today, and when it happened, it had such a huge shock to the infrastructure in Haiti that they simply weren't able to handle it. So this graph right over here, for those who can't see at the back, it's essentially a graph showing the number of phone calls that are being received from all the different areas. So you can imagine, as an emergency responder, you can't respond to all those phone calls. Your resources are limited, and so what you need to do is you need to focus on things that matter. And while certain areas might be neglected, the potential to create more value through focusing on things that matter is something that is very important. The next story is leveraging what's out there. So there are actually two cancer research firms that essentially leverage crowdsourced data to analyze the different pictures of cancer cells. So all they have to do is give these pictures out to volunteers, and they were able to process 2.3 million different samples. I mean, that's pretty remarkable, seeing as cancer research scientists probably get paid anywhere between 500 to, I don't even know how much they get paid, but being able to leverage what's out there has really helped the progress of solving such a hard issue like cancer. Finally, and I think the most interesting one, is using big data to tackle malaria. So it's kind of hard to see these two pictures, but basically there are two different maps of Kenya. So Kenya has recently seen a huge uptick in the number of users with mobile phones. So we can see on the left blue, red, and yellow. So essentially what that means is blue are places that people with mobile phones are going to, and red means areas that they're leaving. On the right-hand side, we have a huge red area. And this red area is where malaria actually originates. It's this huge body of water in Kenya that basically has a lot of mosquitoes that transmit malaria. So instead of relying on government census reports or head counts, these interesting individuals, researchers from Harvard, were able to track mobile data and pinpoint where exactly people were going. And so we can see that certain individuals were leaving this area and concentrating here. And so instead of taking a shotgun approach and sending relief workers all over the place, they're now able to use big data with mobile phones to focus fighting malaria on that spot, and other spots. So now we're going to try to tackle solving a problem that is still happening today, and that's the issue of forest fire. So I don't know how many people have been to California. I'm assuming, being entrepreneurs, you must have been to the Bay Area at least once. So for those who don't know, it's a really, really hot place with low humidity. And so typically what happens is forest fires happen. So when these forest fires happen, they wreak havoc on the infrastructure within California. So just think about how they had to spend $280 million fighting these forest fires. I mean, that $280 million could have been spent on fighting homelessness in San Francisco. which is a very, very serious problem. And so Raul here is going to demonstrate using Bluemix how to tackle a forest fire. So Raul, you're good? Awesome. So this part of the presentation might feel a little technical for you guys, but it's definitely not something that will be far over your head. So Raul, feel free to step in.
You guys hear me? Okay, so